Argentina's chainsaw-wielding president Javier Milei swept congressional elections, bolstered by a $40 billion loan from Donald Trump. Milei's party doubled the votes of the main opposition, Socialist Peronistas, and it doubled Milei's seats in the lower house and quadrupled in the Senate. He still lacks a majority, since only half the House and a third of the Senate were up. Argentina staggers elections, meaning Milei will still need to horse trade with independents to pass anything big. Still, it is a big change from the 1 in 7 seats he had before the election, which allowed Argentina socialists to block everything but executive orders, which may feel familiar to Americans. If you're just tuning in, Milei came to office in 2023 promising to end Argentina's hyperinflation, was running 211% per year, and end the economic stagnation by slashing its bloated government. He also promised to abolish Argentina's central bank, which he called a machine of theft, and adopt the U.S. dollar, as countries like El Salvador and Panama have already done. He delivered, slashing 1/3 of government spending, that's about $2.3 trillion in U.S. terms, and laying off 48,000 government workers, which is about 500,000 in U.S. terms. He closed half of government ministries, including the Ministry of Sustainable Development and the Ministry of Genders and Diversity. In just 5 months, all this turned a 4.4% deficit into a surplus. So in U.S. terms, that's like turning a $1.3 trillion deficit in 5 months. It slashed monthly inflation 7-fold to just 30% a year, which is small in Argentina. To grow the economy, he cut the number of taxes by 90%. So instead of paying 31 separate taxes, you might pay 3. He ended rent control that had caused a national housing shortage. And he cut export taxes that were crushing Argentina's farm sector. GDP initially dipped, since cutting 7% of GDP worth of government spending will do that. Interestingly, GDP overall only fell by half that, as in the private sector immediately picked up the slack. It then took off this year to a projected GDP growth of 5.5%, which is near China levels. It would have actually been stronger, but the Socialist Congress blocked his major reforms, including the big one, his plan for abolishing the central bank and dollarizing the peso. This left Argentina limping on bailouts from the IMF, hot hedge fund money from the so-called carry trade, and just last month, $40 billion in loans and swaps from Donald Trump. Now, Trump claims American taxpayers will make money, like the $20 billion we made bailing out Mexico in the 90s, and he wants to support Milei as a model for Latin America so they can grow their own economy instead of parasiting on ours. Still, many in MAGA did not vote to bail out other countries, even if they are based. So what's next? Brought to you by I Trust Capital. The election makes it easier for Milei to finally dollarize, close the central bank, and end Argentina's permanent crisis. But without a majority in Congress, he still needs to take it slow, integrating dollars step by step to bottom-up abolish the peso. So Argentina's not out of the woods, and apparently neither are U.S. taxpayers, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time. If you want to protect generational wealth in gold and Bitcoin, or even if you want to speculate in crypto, I Trust Capital has built one of the most secure platforms in the world that you can even use with your IRA so you don't pay any taxes until you retire. Because I Trust is dollars in and dollars out, your assets cannot be stolen by outsiders, something that actually happened to millions of crypto wallets in September. If you want to diversify your portfolio without paying gold custody and high fees, if you actually want to sleep at night without worrying about hacks and keys, check out the vault-grade security and institutional level protection of I Trust premium custody accounts. Visit itrustcapital.com/Peter and get an instant $100 funding bonus.